Hello and welcome back to Uncovered, where I give you a rapid-fire rundown of the latest titles added to Xbox Game Pass that I won't be covering in First 15. As a reminder, this isn't a ranking or review, I'm just telling you what's new. Starting with Tales of Arise from Bandai Namco. It's an action JRPG following characters from two opposing worlds, one that invaded the other, who come together to liberate the people from centuries of oppression. It's the latest in the Tales franchise, though all the games are their own thing story-wise, so you don't need to have played previous entries to jump into this one. It won Best RPG at the Game Awards when it released back in 2021, and it's a consistently well-reviewed title. The Tales series is popular for a reason. The highlight for many players with this outing is the art style and the combat system, which deviates a bit from prior entries, and I won't say has a steep learning curve, but it's definitely a system you need to figure out. In general, if you're into flashy anime-style JRPGs, you'll probably like this, keeping in mind that this is only the base game, so it doesn't include the Beyond the Dawn expansion that released last year. Next is Dead Island 2 from Deep Silver, the long-awaited follow-up to Dead Island, this time set in Los Angeles, and it's an action-oriented survival horror game. If you enjoyed the first game, you know what to expect from this one. It's bloody, it's gory, the dismemberment system is front and center, and you've got dozens of unique zombies to try it out on with a variety of weapons you can modify. There's some humor, a co-op mode for up to 3 players, and the skill tree was replaced with a deck-building system for buffing your character with different abilities and attributes. It's just an all-around fun zombie drop-kicking time, and while Steam players can't grab it until April at the time I'm recording this, you get to enjoy it right now on Game Pass. And I know I don't have to keep saying Game Pass, that's what this entire video is about, it's just a hard habit to break. Next up is Man-Eater from Tripwire, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It's an open-world shark sim with RPG elements where you start off as a little baby shark and explore the world, eating and evolving into a true predator. There's a story-based campaign complete with narration, combat, and 7 regions to decimate with a full-day night cycle. So if Shark Week is your favorite week, make it every week with Man-Eater. Next is Indivisible from Lab Zero, which is a hand-drawn side-scrolling action platformer/RPG. It plays as uniquely as it sounds and feels as lovely as it looks. There's a huge world, a bevy of fresh characters to recruit, intriguing combat, and a decent story for this style of game. And while I haven't played it enough to fully review it, and this list isn't a review anyway, like I said, the consensus is that you come for the visuals and anything beyond that is up in the air, especially the platforming, which requires more fine-tuning than some are willing to do. Thankfully, like with all the titles on this list, you don't have to buy it to try it, so why not check it out and decide for yourself if it's your thing. Next up is Space Engineers from Keen Software, and it's an open-world sandbox game set in space where you get to be an engineer, oddly enough. You can build ships, space stations, and more, travel and explore, and be as innovative as you like with an emphasis on how things might realistically work, all supported by volumetric-based physics. The worlds are fully destructible and persistent, and you can play in creative mode with no dying and unlimited resources, or the survival mode with more realistic resource management and death. You can play solo or co-op for up to 16 players on dedicated servers, and jump into scenarios with linear stories or custom worlds built by others or by you. Basically, there's a lot to do here, from drilling, harvesting, assembling, and more, which is the one negative I've seen echoed repeatedly beyond some bugs. The fact that doing anything can take so much effort that it may not be fun for you. But for some people, that's the beauty of games like these, and if you're some people, why not give Space Engineers a shot? Next is a title I'm only saying once, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated from Purple Lamp is of course the remake of Battle for Bikini Bottom, where you play as the plucky trio SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy foiling Plankton's plans. And if you never played the original game but you like SpongeBob, you'd have fun with this, and it's very family friendly, so if you've got kids you can play along with them. For the remake, they added a horde mode that you can play co-op, either couch or online, and content that was cut from the original game was added back. So if you won't revisit for the nostalgia, maybe revisit it for the new coat of paint. Up next is Control from Remedy Entertainment, and if you're watching this video, I'll assume you know what Control is, so instead of rehashing that it's a fantastic award-winning game, I'll just lay out what you get with this version. It's the Ultimate Edition, so it includes the base game, plus all previously released expansions and extra content, so if you haven't played it yet, now is definitely the time. I'm finally jumping into it myself, and while these videos are for Game Pass members, it's worth mentioning that it's currently on sale on Steam for 75% off until April 4th. Next, we've got No More Heroes 3 from Grasshopper, and this is one of those niche franchises I've never jumped into outside of watching other people play it, but it's a weird action-fueled blast. It follows Travis Touchdown, an assassin trying to work his way up the ranks, and this entry features new locations to explore while trying to save the Earth from evil aliens. Fair warning, many lovers of the first 2 games have said that this entry is terrible, and that the villains are lackluster, so if you're looking for more of what you got before, maybe temper your expectations, and if you haven't played these games at all, then you may love this. Just don't judge the earlier titles by the experience if you end up hating it. Next, we've got Lightyear Frontier from Frame Break and Amplifier. It's an open-world farming sim with a sci-fi spin. You grow your homestead on an alien world with the help of a mech that you can customize, and there are some adventure elements as you explore the world with its environmental storytelling and secrets to uncover. You can play with up to 3 friends, harvesting, gathering, building, and all without any stress or threats, which is a plus if you aren't into survival mechanics or combat, but a minus if you do like some basic requirements like having to sleep or eat. So if you're fine with the game just being a chill time, you can hop into Lightyear Frontier. Just keep in mind that it's still in early access. Next is The Quarry from Supermassive Games, another title you're probably aware of, though in the off chance you aren't, it's a narrative-driven, choice-based branching path horror game where you play as camp counselors hunted by creatures in the night. I don't want to say more than that in the event that I might spoil it. It's one of the more recent releases from the developers of Until Dawn, falling outside of their Dark Pictures anthology, and if you're into their style of storytelling and enjoyed Until Dawn, this doesn't rise to the level of that game in all aspects necessarily, but is still a great game very much in the spirit of Until Dawn. You can play it couch co-op with friends, controlling the actions of different characters, or online with up to 7 people who can watch along and vote on key decisions. I think it's a fun time, and it has a lot of replay value, so if you haven't braved the Quarry yet, why not check it out? Next is Tera Invicta from Pavonis Interactive, at least that's how I think it's pronounced, which is only playable on PC for now, and still in early access. It's a strategy sim where you control different factions on Earth while facing an alien invasion. Each of the 7 factions you can choose from have their own goals, and if you play strategy games like this, you pretty much know how it's going to go. You can compete against the other factions for power, manipulate the geopolitical landscape, and you can expand off-planet as well, building space stations and colonies, all while investigating and planning for the alien threat. Now, this is the kind of game I don't like to speak on at all unless I've played it myself, because the balance of the mechanics and the UI are so integral to the quality and enjoyment of them, and those just aren't things I can glean from other people's impressions or footage. So I'll just say that if you like space-themed 4X strategy games with an emphasis on hard science fiction in a setting that's remnant of shows like The Expanse, Tera Invicta may be your cup of tea despite its mixed reception. Next is Diablo IV from Blizzard Entertainment, the latest installment in the beloved ARPG franchise. Though beloved isn't what I'd call this entry. There are a lot of issues with it at the time I'm recording this, though most of them boil down to functional or monetary objections to the game, especially from lovers of the series. Whether it's the always online debate, or the game feeling less like Diablo and more like a free-to-play that's expensive to play, a lot of people have a lot to say about it. I really enjoyed Diablo, but I'm not attached to it, so I wasn't looking forward to this entry and don't really care how it turned out. But if you do, I'd say to at least give it a chance since it's included with Game Pass anyway before writing it off, though you do need a Battle.net account. And if you do end up hating it, well, at least you didn't pay for it. As for anyone new to the franchise, if you enjoy these expansive top-down RPGs with seasonal content and customization, and this looks like what you usually play, then you might really enjoy it. Moving on, next we have Inulina, a title I can't say correctly twice in a row, from Yaza Games. It's a turn-based strategy game where you fight through levels of enemies in a setting inspired by medieval manuscripts. Like any strategy game, the highlight is the underlying mechanics, which you really need to pay attention to or the game won't make any sense at all, a thing I can confidently say having played it. The game has local PvP, but you can also play the solo campaign, and it's kind of hard to describe. You have to play it to understand it, and once you understand it, you'll either fall in love with it, or you'll feel like it falls short of its brilliant potential. The one thing I'll say is that it's a bit lumbering and slow in some ways, though not enough that I wouldn't recommend playing it if you're really into tactical strategy. Getting close to the end now, we've got Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged from Milestone. It's another Hot Wheels racing game, so if you like it, you'll like it. There are over 130 vehicles this time that you can customize and upgrade with dedicated skill trees. They added 5 new locations, new terrains that impact handling, and new special moves like jumps and the lateral dash, which some players find obnoxious and a bit OP where AI drivers are concerned. They've also kept the track editor where you can design your own or try a custom track from the community, and they added an improved livery editor where you can deck out your car to your heart's content. I'll never get enough of miniatures in large environments, and I have a fondness for Hot Wheels, anything from my childhood really, so I enjoy these games, and if you do, why not drive into Unleashed 2? Next up is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege from Ubisoft, a very popular first-person shooter that's also very popular to troll. I sometimes preface any shooters I list with the fact that, contrary to how it may seem with what I post on my channel, shooters are kind of my main genre, and there was a time long before this channel existed when I played them competitively. Now I couldn't care less about playing shooters well, I just like running around having mindless fun. But I don't play Siege, so I can't speak to how much fun it is. Only that people keep playing it despite it releasing years ago, so it's got longevity on its side. The deluxe Deluxe Edition, included with Game Pass, has all maps and game modes, plus all 16 operators from year 1 and 2, with over 70 operators in total. And basically, if you like team-based tactical shooters and the toxicity shooters in general bring to the gaming community, why not jump into Rainbow Six Siege today? Last but not least, we've got the obligatory annual sports game release portion of the list, which I won't spend more than a second on going forward, because if you play these games each year, you already know what you're getting. I'm just letting you know that you can get it for free now if you have Game Pass. First, you've got NBA 2K24, which brought classic card collecting back. People seem to hate the game. What else is new? Then there's MLB The Show 24, which is of course a console-only release, at least for now. I'll post a link to every game in the box so you can learn more about them. Let me know if you've been looking forward to anything here, or if you've already been playing one of these games and have something to say about in the comments that others may want to know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back here soon with more Uncovered.